Hi and welcome. I'm Andy Jones and today I'll be reviewing the Nightwish song Shudder Before the Beautiful. Now, this seemed like the perfect place for me to start in looking at songs that were written for Floor Jansen to sing. Because thus far on my channel I've been reacting to quite a few Nightwish videos, but all of them pretty much were songs either performed by Floor or Tarja, but written initially for Tarja to sing, with the exception of High Hopes, which was of course a tribute to Pink Floyd sung by Marco. Now, I wanted to really kind of look at a song that was actually written with Floor in mind as the vocalist. And this is the first track on the Endless Form's Most Beautiful album, which was Floor's first album with the band. And this seems just like the logical place to start. And Endless Form's Most Beautiful is like a concept album that essentially deals with evolution and nature. And you'll hear at the beginning of the song some spoken words by Richard Dawkins, a very famous British evolutionary scientist and atheist. And he is also an animal biologist, so he has a lot of ethos around the topic of the album. And Nightwish approached him and asked him if he would read some passages for some of the songs. He also does that for The Greatest Show on Earth, but the album begins and ends with his words. So you'll hear that at the beginning. And I would say it's time for us to jump into that Wembley performance. Let's do this.
The deepest solace lies in understanding. This ancient unseen stream, a shudder before the beautiful.
And in case this wasn't a loud enough start to the song for you, just remember, there's no electric guitar there yet. Empu hasn't even started. And that's how loud it already is. That keyboard melody, I'm kind of playing along here, I've got a keyboard here in front of me. That fantastic kind of string melody there that's coming from Thomas. Kai on the drums, and of course remember this is the first album on which Kai played drums. Now at this point Kai wasn't an official band member yet, he was filling in for Jukka, who ultimately stepped down, and Kai took over as the official drummer for Nightwish, but at that point he wasn't the official drummer when the album was recorded. So you get the first track on the album with Kai as the drummer, and Marco's bass tone, I mean, enough reactors have already mentioned how killer Marco's bass tone is, so you don't need me to tell you more about that. But between the three of them, they've already got it covered, right? And Empu hasn't even begun playing. So let's see what happens when he does. That double bass from Kai all the way through the start of the first verse, lots of energy in there already. It's not that typical that you've got a double bass going through a verse already at that stage of the song. So lots of pressure already on the song, and this breaks the Nightwish formula a little bit because Empu is still playing chords in the verse, although he just plays at the chord and lets it ring out. He's not completely taken out of the verse like he's in a lot of other Nightwish songs. So he's there from the start. And just one thing I've got to mention is that crowd. You know, there's not all that many bands where as soon as they come out on stage, the whole crowd is massively into it already jumping and cheering along and, you know, singing along to the song. I mean, one can only dream of that kind of situation on stage where the second you come out, the whole crowd's with you straight away from the get-go. Lyrically interesting, the first thing that Floor sings, Awake Oceanborn. And of course Oceanborn was Nightwish's second album. Back in, if I'm not mistaken, 1998. The one before Wishmaster in 2000. So yeah, a kind of back reference to the early days of Nightwish. So really interesting there to have that little reference in there already. Okay. Yeah, so you know, we have that little pre-chorus and then into the main chorus, and we have Floor and Marco both singing the lyrics, and you know, this kind of octave apart. And I always kind of think that when Marco doubles Floor's vocals, it sounds great. Their voices fit together perfectly, which makes it very sad that Marco won't be with the band anymore now. But you know, let's just be thankful that we had this time with him and Floor together in the band, that they've been able to put these songs out and get them on record, on video. So yeah, they sound wonderful together. The lyrics, again, you know, the music of this awe, deep silence between the notes. Beautiful kind of musical metaphor there. Deafens me with endless love, this vagrant island, earth, a pilgrim shining bright. We are shuddering before the beautiful, before the plentiful, we are the voyagers. So all of these references already to the theme of the album, of Endless Forms Most Beautiful. Yeah, so a lot happening already in that chorus. Okay, let's carry on. Oh, and I wanted to mention also, there's some kind of choral vocals by Floor in the backing track to the song. I don't particularly find them problematic at all. I know some people don't like to hear any backings that aren't on the stage, but I would say, you know, they're subtle enough. They're there, they're noticeable, but they're subtle enough not to be a problem. You know, you'd have to have a good 4 or 5 singers on the stage with a high enough vocal range to produce those harmonies. So I would say let's rather have them with a backing track than not at all. Okay. Just one little structural thing that's interesting there, and this is something I quite like to do myself if I can, you know, find a place to do that. This verse, the second verse, was only half as long as the first verse. The first verse had 4 lines, and this second verse only had 2. So in the first verse, you know, it's nice to have that longer verse to kind of set the scene a little bit, and the second verse to kind of harken back to it without necessarily needing it to be 4 lines as well. And that's something I quite like doing, because I have a tendency to write songs that end up having to be shortened a little bit, and that's one place that you can do that quite well without the song really losing anything. So yeah, great strategy. Let's carry on. Before we carry on with this kind of duel here, I don't want to kind of lose too much from what I've heard already. So we have that second chorus, and, you know, again, those lyrics just really calling up this idea of us having to have respect for the situation that we're in as people on this planet, being able to observe all of this around us. And that's something that's definitely repeated in The Greatest Show on Earth, which I won't say too much about in case I come back and review that later as well. But there's this kind of theme of of gratitude for being on this planet right now, observing what's going on around us and what has gone on before us. This privileged position that we're in to be able to do that is something that's recurring on this album, definitely. Then we go into that, I mean, that freaky keyboard sound, which is something that Thomas doesn't employ all that often. But again, you hear that melody that you've already heard before, and Nightwish are great at doing that, having this cohesion between vocal melodies and instrumental melodies so that you can really recognize them and they stick in your mind. They're what we call earworms in German as well, Ohrwürmer. They just stick in your mind. And this is one way that they accomplish that, by having the vocals and the instruments sometimes do the same thing. So here we go. We'll hear what Flo's got to say in a second, because we just got to talk about that kind of dual solo there. You know, what's really special about both of these guys, they do what needs to be done, and this has been mentioned in a lot of other reaction videos and in a lot of other comments on videos that I've posted and others have too. Both Thomas and Empu have this great feeling for knowing what needs to be done to accomplish the part of the song without going overboard. And so Thomas starts with the chorus melody as part of his solo, and then Empu plays, you know, a technically brilliant but not over the top guitar solo following him. Then Thomas comes back in and shows, you know, the kind of, what do we call that, the digital agility or dexterity that he has in playing the more complex part. And then Empu pushes it up a level again by doing that kind of shredding at the end of the solo. You don't see Empu do proper shredding all that often in Nightwish, especially with later albums. So it's always great to kind of see him kind of let himself go a little bit and throw in some pinch harmonics and throw in some shredding, and done beautifully. Not for a really long time, not in an extravagant way, just like, look, I can do this too, and then carry on. So yeah, I love both of these guys as musicians. They're just perfect. Okay, let's see what happens here. Flo's obviously ready to talk to the audience, so that's here. Okay, before we get into that bridge part, I mean, this is just like the hallmark of a great front person for a band. You know, she all she's done really is said hello and got them to chant with her. But for a first song in a long set list, you know, that shows a great instant connection between her as the vocalist and the front person of the band and the audience who's instantly there for it. And, you know, she does it with energy, she does it with style. It's not a quiet little hello. Real power in her voice. She's controlling the room, and it's a big room. You know, it's Wembley Arena, and she's instantly got them. And, you know, that just shows what kind of ethos she has already as the vocalist of the band. So, audience chanting, hey, 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 straight away. First song of the night. Nope, the audience is not going to be kind of left to their own devices. They're in from the beginning. And that's what the band wants as well. So, perfect. Okay, let's look at this bridge.
Watch him
perfect place for a pause. So that bridge, you know, I mean, rhythmically slightly different for the vocal side of things. But if we take a look at the lyrics, you know, again, all these references to the subject matter of the album. So you've got the unknown, you've got the grand show, almost kind of like foreshadowing the greatest show on earth. The choir of the stars, you've got the nebula curtain falls. So there's a lot of imagery in here already. Yeah, just so many references in quite a short passage of the song. Also just fun to watch Empu play those kind of long notes that he just lets fade out, and that gives him the freedom to use his right hand to throw a pick out and grab another one. Interaction with the audience as well while they're playing, and Empu's great at that. He's a master of interaction with the audience while actually playing his hands. I don't know how he's like an octopus with all the things that he's doing at the same time while he's playing sometimes. But yeah, excellent. Okay, then we'll carry on to this quieter part here.
Deep silence between the notes deafens me with endless love. In this vagrant island earth, a pilgrim shining bright, we are shuddering before the beautiful, before the plentiful, we the voyagers.
Lovely to hear that chorus sung over just that piano accompaniment with just very little details, again from Kai on the drums, just occasional little splash cymbals or the ride, just small details to add a little extra dimension to what you're hearing there. But it's all quieting down, and now it's getting louder again.
For the plentiful, we the voyagers. The music of this song, deep silence between the notes, deafens me with endless love. This vagrant island earth, a pilgrim shining bright, we are shuddering before the beautiful, before the plentiful, we the voyagers. The music of this song, deep silence between the notes, deafens me with endless love. This vagrant island earth, a pilgrim shining bright, we are shuddering before the beautiful, before the plentiful, we the voyagers.
Okay, we're close to the end, but not quite there yet. So what's really interesting there, it's very rare that you'll hear a Nightwish song in which there are 3 choruses back to back at the end of a song. And of course, the first of the 3 was the quieter version over the piano, but the second 2 then, it's not that often that you hear a triple chorus. You know, Everdream has a double chorus at the end, but this triple one is great. And of course you've got Marco going up an octave in the very last chorus, so there is also kind of some upward movement in the intensity there as well, because he goes up to join Floor on the higher octave in that last chorus, and then that really long note at the end. And already underneath that long note from Floor, Marco's carrying on with this outro melody, so there's a seamless transition there. And just kind of little variations in the lengths of words that Floor sing, you know, before the beautiful rather than before the beautiful, which is what she'd sing before. So just little changes there. And yeah, that takes us into this outro. Let's hear it. Phenomenal, all of them. So yeah, in that outro, you know, you've got Marco with that continuing melody, and you've got Floor kind of ad-lib vocalizing over the top of it with these whoas. You know, just great lead vocals, but also great backing vocals underneath. And lovely special effects there. I'm not going to tell you anything about the effects because we already have Tank the Tech for that. Shout out to Tank. We've managed to say hello to each other on the Night Dreamers Reactor Side Discord server. Shout out to those lovely people as well. I've not really had any kind of longer interactions with Tank, but seems like a wonderful person alongside being a great reactor, and he has all of the knowledge about that. So I'm just going to leave that to him because he'll have told you about that on his reaction video to this song already. He's the expert there. You don't need me for that. But, you know, what I can tell you is the end of that song, you know, wonderful end to it as well. You've not got anything kind of too overbearing in the outro. It feels like an outro to the song. It's not an abrupt ending. So yeah, perfect start to that show and to the album, Endless Forms Most Beautiful. Okay, I think we've got everything covered now. Let's just head over and have a quick chat before we finish. Okay, so that has been my review of Shudder Before the Beautiful by Nightwish. And it's also quite refreshing for me because if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I've been a fan of Nightwish and following them for a very long time now, around 15 years or so. And it's great to kind of look at some of their newer material, which is not quite as familiar to me as those songs that I've been listening to for a decade and a half. So there's always new things that I'm picking up when I listen to these newer songs, with Floor as the intended vocalist of the tracks. So, it's a nice change for me to be able to kind of react a little bit as I'm reviewing. So I hope that was enjoyable to you as well. If you did enjoy this review, please do remember to subscribe. You know, a lot of people are liking the videos, but not all that many are subscribing. So please do hit that subscribe button and stay with the channel if you'd like to see and hear more of this. Also, please use the comments and let me know if there's other songs either by Nightwish or by other artists that you'd like to see me look at in the future. And also, you know, don't forget my social media channels are all linked up there. I'm Andy Jones Official here, but also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok now. So don't be afraid to connect there and say hi. And that will also give you the occasion to perhaps even check out a bit of my own music and see whether that fits in to your playlists somewhere as well. Okay, folks, thanks very much for watching. I'm Andy Jones. I'll see you next time.